and connect to your primary replica. In my case, it's going to be SQL prod 1. Click connect, and we'll go expand always on availability group. Right now there is no availability group created, so we'll right click and create new wizard group. We'll use the wizard to create availability group. Click on that, click next, and provide the availability group name. I'll provide 2016 AG demo. Click next and select the database that you want to have part of AG, and it should meet the requirement. It should have full backup taken. So in my case, I have one database that meets the requirement, so I will click test. That's my database. Click next and click on add replica. In my case, my second replica, or also known as secondary, is SQL prod 2. And click on, I'm going to make it read only, yes, and click on endpoints. As you can see right here, one of my SQL Server is running under local system and other is running under service account. So this will create an issue. This will give us warning as well, but we want to create that issue, and then we will change that under service account and see if we can take care of that error. So backup preference, I'm gonna click on primary. You can click on whatever your preferred replica is to take the backups. Listener, we're not gonna create the listener right now. We'll create it later. So let's click next. And this is the warning that is saying that one of your SQL Server is running under local system, and that might be an issue. So we want to create that issue. Click yes, and we'll click the skip initial data synchronization because I have not done the synchronization for my database that I selected, that is test. And if you have done the synchronization, you need to click on join only, and it'll join the database onto the secondary replica. But we will do that in this video too, but let's skip that just to reproduce the error and take care of the first error. I'm going to skip the initial data synchronization. Click next and click next. This is the summary. Click finish and click on more detail. As you can see that everything went well. Let's close this and let's open our availability group replicas. And as you can see, this is the error that I was talking about. Your secondary replica, or the replica that you just added, has this red down arrow. If you try to add your database right now, even if you have initialized your database, it'll take forever to join and will error out that it cannot communicate. So let's join the database to see that let's take a look first if we have that error. We'll go into SQL Server error log right here. Double click on that. And right now we don't have error, so leave it just like this, and let's try to bring this online. Click join availability group, connect, and click OK. And as you can see that it has an error right here. Click on this. It's saying failed to join local availability replica to availability group. This is our AG group that we just created, and click OK, and we'll go back to our error log and refresh that, and we have the same error right here. There you go. We're going to initialize the database first. So what initialization mean is that you take the full backup and last transactional log backup and restore that onto your secondary in restore only mode. So we'll go and take the full backup of our database one more time. I already had the full backup, so I'm going to just click on overwrite and all existing backup sets. This will set the new timestamp. Click successful, and I'm going to take the transactional log backup as well. Just to initialize this. This is transactional log backup selected. Click add, and I will. This is really a small database, shouldn't take long for us to initialize it. Click OK, and now we will go to our secondary replica and restore that database. Click connect, right click and restore database. We're going to do it from the device. I'll directly access that location where I put the full backup and transactional log backup. Click OK, and I'm going to restore it in no recovery mode. Click OK, and refresh your databases, and it's in restoring mode. Let's restore the transactional log as well. And click on restore transactional log from the device. And here I store my transactional log backups. Click OK, and we're going to restore that in no recovery mode as well. Click OK. So our database is initialized. And we're ready to add the database in our availability group. Right click, add database. It's a little bit slow for me right now. Click next. And this is the database that meets the requirement. Click next, and we're going to do join only. Click next, and connect to your secondary replica. Click connect, and click next, and click next. Click finish, and see more detail. As you can see right now, this database is really small, and it should have been done by now. It's taking forever to join the test availability group. It means that this down right here, the offline secondary replica, is playing a big part in it. So we'll just leave it just like this, and we'll go and take a look in our SQL Server log and see what kind of error we see, why it's not joining right away when this database is really small. So I'm going to go and take a look in SQL Server log. Alright, so this is the error that we were looking for right here. It says that database mirroring login attempt. This is what I was talking about. If you don't have a service account and that service account needs to have right permissions on the SQL Server, I would put service account under sysadmin of all the SQL Server nodes that you want to add. That's what my recommendation is, but you need to provide that account all the right permission on SQL Server. Right here, this user will be created on the fly. That's because SQL Prod 1 is running under local system, and if it would have been running under service account, and service account has rights, otherwise you have to create this unnecessarily this user, but that we shouldn't run into this issue. I just wanted to show you that for our error reproducing purposes. So I'm going to close this, and I will cancel this as well and go change the SQL Server service accounts. Open up SQL Server Configuration Manager. As you can see, the SQL Server right here is running under local system account. I'm going to change that to run under service account, same service account. Or if it's different service account, that's okay, but that service account needs to have permission on your all target SQL servers. So in my case, the service account is cluster admin. Click apply, and it'll restart the services. Click OK. Now it's running under cluster admin, that is the service account. I'm going to restart it just to be sure that if it restarted the services. Okay, let's go back to our SQL Server Management Studio and open our availability group right here. Take a look on the properties of availability group, and these are our endpoints. Looking good, and we're going to expand this and open our replicas right here. As you can see, that down arrow that it had before, it's gone. It is online in availability replicas. So let's go in test right here. I'm going to open availability group on secondary replica as well. This is our test, and as you can see that the wizard has completed, and right away as soon as we corrected that error, this database joined the availability group. Everything is looking healthy here. Let's take a look what kind of errors we have resolved in this demo. Number one, we had error creating a cluster. That is, the error was that it could not create the cluster because it didn't have permission in Active Directory. And number two, that we saw that node 1 cannot communicate with node 2. As you can see, you could see that in availability group replicas, that one replica was offline, and joining database takes forever just because of this error and the communication error. And secondary replica showing offline, that we saw that they're all kind of interrelated. And missing endpoint, that is the one that we couldn't reproduce, but I showed you during the demo that if it would be missing endpoints, you just need to take a look on the endpoints and see if the endpoint name appears. If it doesn't appear, it would be missing endpoints. Thanks for watching. I hope it helps.